As a young kid, I used to work at a camera store and eyed the X100 as a grail camera, but with the expensive price tag, it always felt out of reach. After saving up for a little bit and pivoting in career, I'm now producing a lot more work and directing. I thought the X100VI would be a great addition to my kit. Not only that, my trusty film camera, the Canon Autoboy, has recently stopped working, so it is a perfect chance to test out the X100. Over the past 4 months, I've taken the Fujifilm X100VI to places like Banff, to Niagara Falls, around me every day in New York City.
And Rome!
Jumping straight in, I do want to give a big shout out to George's Cameras and my in-laws for bringing this camera all the way from Australia to Canada for me. It did take quite a while to get my hands on this camera, and whilst I was waiting, I was tossing up, should I still go for an X100 or should I go for an alternative camera like a Ricoh GR or some of the other Fujifilm alternatives? But I'm super happy that I did go for the X100. Firstly, the optical viewfinder I don't use all that often, but I do appreciate the novelty of it. I do use the electronic viewfinder quite frequently, especially when it's bright and sunny outside. Secondly, the flash was actually a big reason I did choose to go for the X100. I love using the flash at nighttime since the camera isn't fantastic in low light. And finally, not many people I think need the 42 megapixels, but I really appreciate the 42 megapixels, not only because it's a fixed focal length, it does give you a little bit extra room to crop in, but I have been using this on some campaigns and it's amazing to get that print quality, or even just going on holidays, we can print some of the landscapes pretty large.
Last night we did a night tour at the Coliseum. And now we are rushing to the Vatican City.
Wow, look at that. Damn. Spinning bird. Oh. Setting up the camera for the first time, I immediately put a screen protector on the screen. I threw in a 128GB SD card from SanDisk. This is an Extreme Pro and it's been working fantastically. I did pick up a few accessories before even purchasing the camera because I was so excited to use it. I wanted to make sure I had everything. I looked into quite a few different lens hoods and I did land on the Nissi one. A lot of people recommended the Hogue lens hood, which seems really good and I would say gives you a little bit more protection against lens flares, but I did opt for the Nissi lens hood as it gives you the flexibility to take it on and off a lot easier. Since I do use the flash quite frequently, having the lens hood on gives you a little bit of a shadow cast on your photos, so I want to make sure I take it off before using the flash. There are quite a few benefits to having this kit, one being the UV filter that is built in and protecting the lens, but also giving you that weather resistance to your camera, something I really wanted, especially since we were going to Niagara Falls and going into the fall, it got super wet. Another benefit of this kit is you're able to put on 49mm filters, whether that be ND filters or black mist filters. I keep a black mist 1/8 strength on my camera, and it does allow the lens hood just to sit on top of it super easily to use it all together. The final two things I added to the camera was my Peak Design leash strap. I've had this one actually for years and I love it because you can wear it in two different configurations, either quite short and just around your neck, or you can wear it across your body and extend the strap. The final accessory I added to the camera was this shutter release. This one is just from Amazon, but I did opt for a concave version, which makes the shooting experience a little nicer. But more importantly, I was running into the issue of my camera accidentally turning on whilst I put it in my bag. So the shutter release does help prevent that.
Shooting with the X100, I keep most things on auto and just shoot predominantly in aperture priority. I have a limit on my ISO, so it just fluctuates between, I think, 200 and 3200. Ever since I got it, I have been shooting in a film simulation that I got from Reggie, and I'm excited to try out some new ones, but so far I've been loving that one. I do sometimes throw the raws into Lightroom and just edit them a little bit more, but for the most part, they've come out pretty nice.
I'm really enjoying taking video postcards with the camera. I would say switching from photo to video is a little slow. I've changed this front button here to be my ND on and off, so I don't have to go searching in the menu. And I don't often bring ND filters with me. I mainly shoot in the 4K 2398, but you can shoot up to 6.2K. And I don't even shoot in log, to be honest. I find as you bump up the ISO, it does tend to get quite a lot grainier and muddier, especially in the shadows. Using the built-in ND filter is super handy that it is built in, but I do find the quality does shift ever so slightly with it, so I try when I can not to use it.
Taking a look at these side-by-sides, I've punched in around 300%, and you'll notice that using the built-in ND filter greatly reduces the saturation in the image. Detail and sharpness to my eye remain the same, but it's only when you bump up to 6.2K where you really see a huge difference. I was actually surprised at how much more detail you can capture with the 6.2K. The only thing to keep in mind is that shooting in 6.2K does give you that 1.23 times crop.
One thing I think not that many people talk about is the time the camera takes to switch on. It's actually super quick. Yesterday there was a bunch of birds flying above and I just was able to easily flick it on and take some pictures. Nice. As far as batteries go, I was getting mixed opinions whether the battery was good, whether the battery was bad. Yesterday, to give you an example, I was shooting for most of the day. We started around 8 AM and by the end of the day, I was at around 2 bars out of 4, shooting a few videos here and there and predominantly photos. So I think the battery life is pretty good, and when I was shooting a campaign recently, it lasted the whole shoot. I did pick up some extra batteries, however, one being a just original, as I was a little bit scared of using third parties, but I did also pick up this newer battery kit which comes with 2 batteries and a battery charger. The main reason I opted for this was predominantly for the charger, since it does charge by USB-C and the camera doesn't come with a battery charger. The feature, however, of just plugging a USB-C cable directly into the camera is one that I use often, but when I want to charge extra batteries, I love having this extra charger. I have used the newer batteries in the camera and I think they work totally fine, but I do tend to lean towards just using the originals.
Naturally, you are limited to how wide you can get using this camera since it is a fixed 35mm focal length. Capturing wide landscapes or landmarks, you do have to take quite a few steps back to get it all in. That said, there is a secret within the X100 allowing you to digitally crop in to 50 and 70mm if you do want to get a little bit more detailed. Again, this is digitally cropped, so you do lose a little bit more detail when you get especially to the 70mm. But to set this up quickly, I've assigned this to the front focus ring on the camera. Don't get me wrong, I love this camera, but if there was a few upgrades I would love to see, it would be firstly the joystick to make it a little bit more tactile. The bump left and right is a little subtle and it feels slightly mushy. Secondly, the Q button, which is the quick access menu, is a little bit far to the right and harder to reach, especially when you're using it single-handedly. Thirdly, switching to video isn't super quick. I have to press the drive button and then scroll down to the video function. It takes 1 or 2 seconds to actually swap to the different mode, and then I go ahead and start changing all my settings. This is the life of a filmmaker, but I would love to see a faster way to quickly change it to video so I can start shooting. I've seen some people customize a single button to just hit record whilst you're in photo mode and allows you to quickly take a video, but I found in doing that you don't get all the control over your video settings when doing that quick mode. Finally, the video in this I find looks amazing, especially in daylight. When you get to the darker areas, it starts to get a little bit muddy. In addition, the stabilization in the camera isn't fantastic compared to others, so I do think predominantly it is a photo camera. I'll be continuing to use this as my daily driver, so if you want to see more images from it, definitely follow me on Instagram and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay. I'm ready? Yeah. And room! Did I go out of frame?